Hello there and welcome to Movies with the Homies. It is your host Mateo. Today it will be a one person speaking today. Today I'll be talking about Obsession. This crazy out of nowhere movie that came out as a sophomore effort from a Mr. Barker who created this one movie on YouTube called Milk and Cereal. I was blown away by how much he's grown. It's only been 2 years since Milk and Cereal came out. And Mr. Barker came over here swinging with a full feature-length film, an Obsession. My goodness, just kudos to Mr. Curry Barker. Very, very much kudos, because Obsession has been a crazy wild ride. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you're listening to this, I'm going to assume you know that there's spoilers. So please, I'm going to assume you know every single thing about this movie. And let's get right into it. Obsession. How can I really talk about this movie? It's a movie that came out this year, or last year, if you want to be technical. Directed by Curry Barker, who was part of a Curry Barker is part of this sketch comedy YouTube called That's a Bad Idea, which he co-created with one of his homies, Cooper Tomlinson. He directed and wrote Milk and Cereal, right? And then went on and started directing and filmed Obsession, which came out this year. And as you know, it's about Bear, a man who's a music store employee. He buys a supernatural toy, thinking it'll be, it's a fake toy, and there's no consequences for using this toy. This toy is called the One Wish Willow, and it grants him a wish. And his wish was, let me ask this friend to fall in love with me. Who starred by a newer actor I've never known about. Her name is Indiv Navarrete. Sorry. So Bear's wish was, I want Nikki to fall in love with me. And because of that, sets off the whole movie. People are talking about how this is basically a monkey's paw movie, but worse. Just immediately the worst possible outcome you could ever think of when it comes to a wish you wanted. And I'm going to tell you, these actors, this story, man, it hit. I really thought this. So after watching Weapons last year, I really thought of Weapons. And I'm like, this has the similar vibe to Weapons, only based on that one Willow thing. Because for some reason, my brain I immediately thought about Weapons as soon as he broke the One Wish Willow. Because, as you know, spoilers for Weapons, if you haven't seen it yet, which you should. I really recommend it. It's one of the best horror movies I've seen in the last 2 years or so. If you remember in Weapons, that one aunt, she broke a type of tree, and also which helped her enact her magic upon the characters in that movie. So I really thought, wait, is this kind of like Weapons? Like, why is it so similar to Weapons with the breaking of things and sudden magic happening, like voodoo type stuff going on? But man, I gotta tell you about Bear though. These actors, they really sold me on these characters. Felt real. These characters felt something like that would actually happen in real life. And pretty sure things like this happen all the time, unfortunately, and crazy things are always undocumented, but feels like they struck lightning here because all these characters, all these actors really mesh well with each other. They mesh really well. And the way that Indy brought out her acting chops for Nikki, it really frightens me. Gotta be honest. I was supposed to go and watch, I was supposed to go to my commencement. I graduated my bachelor's degree, and there's like this whole big commencement, and I decided to skip the big commencement because I know they're not going to really call my name. And I decided, it's not worth going to a commencement that's like I'm just a faceless nobody. And I told my family, to my mother, my girlfriend, my best friend, that we're going to the commencement. I was like, you know what? How about we just go to a movie, go see a movie and walk around, go shop around, maybe walk around a park or something. And I saw this movie pop up on when I was looking at the tickets for AMC. I was like, Obsession. And all I read was this, Obsession. Then I read at the top, it said horror movie. And I was like, oh, it's a horror movie. Let's go watch it. Did not watch the trailer at all. Did not read a synopsis. I have said it before with Julianne in the show. I avoid watching trailers now. I avoid reading synopsis. I want to go in blind. If I want to see a movie, I will go in and see the movie, and that's it. If it's a movie I don't know about, I will go and see it just to see. However, that rule changes if I hear a universally panned movie. Then I'll be like, you know what? Maybe I won't go see the movie and waste my time. I went in blind. I have anxiety. When I was younger, I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder, and even to this day, as an adult, I still have anxiety. So let me tell you, when this movie really caused anxiety, and the way that Curry Barker messed with the lighting, with the cinematography, and having these characters really sit within the atmosphere of the set, bravo. For a first full-length movie from this guy, bravo. I liked Milk and Cereal because it was just like found footage and it was kind of messy, kind of weird, but it had this premise of just some dumbass really murdering his friend somehow. I was like, oh, that's pretty fucked, gotta be honest. But now with this Obsession, he's given us a bigger budget. His old budget was $800 for Milk and Cereal. Now for Obsession, his budget was $750,000. And guess what? They made almost $250 million in the box office, folks. That is insane return on investment. That is an insane multiplier of profit. Oh my God. This movie was a smash hit. No, it is a smash hit. And kudos to Blumhouse Productions. Kudos to Capstone Studios, T-Shop Productions, Under the Shell. All these production companies and Focus Features for distributing it. Curry Barker really knocked it out of the park, and they really just believed in his vision. Kudos to you, Mr. Curry Barker. Kudos to you, because you scared the shit out of me royally with your vision. Weapon scared the fuck out of me, I gotta be honest. Obsession scared the fuck out of me, but in a way that's more visceral. It felt real. Besides the whole, wishing magic stuff that's been happening in the movie, which that's another thing we could talk about another time later in the episode, in the show. But it just, I felt scared. I know my best friend was like, hey, they shot this movie on purpose to be that way, where it's like you're feeling a little unease. For the men, it's like you're gonna feel uncomfortable. I was like, yeah, I feel uncomfortable because the stuff that Bear has done in the movie itself, I did not agree with every single thing he did. I wanted to grab him by the head and shake him. I was like, What are you doing, Bear? Nikki clearly wants you to make a move. She was interested in you to an extent. She was cautious and was like, I want to see where this pans out. What does he do? Shits the bed completely and hesitates and decides, let me rely on some sort of otherworldly intervention to really make my decisions for me. Boom. I don't know. He could have honestly gone with Sarah instead. Sarah felt more down to earth, someone you could at least invest and get to know each other, have a real conversation. He just saw Nikki as a pretty face. Okay, honestly, all these words I'm gonna say about the movie are like my own words. We could disagree, we could agree, we could debate. This is how I'm gonna straight up feel about this movie: is that Bear, instead of chasing a pretty face, could have at least talked to Nikki, talked to Sarah about relationships, about your hopes and dreams. Matter of fact, Sarah was always talking to Bear about what she was going through. She was saying that she had like a rejection letter from a university she wanted to go to. I don't know. We all would say, yeah, I would rather just get along with like Sarah, because it seems that there's a bigger story. We don't know much about Nikki besides Bear tried to like practice how she wanted to like, talk about her and also confess to Nikki in some weird way. But I could talk a shit about Bear all day and there's no reason to. I'm going to say that shout out once again to the lighting, to the editing, because there's so many dark scenes that really amplified the dark nature of this story about whatever controlled the obsessive Nikki. And I gotta be honest, there's many scenes that really scare the crap out of me. The most notable part I did not like at all because it scared me, because I don't like stuff like this. But when Nikki was watching Bear sleep and she was just standing in front of his bed in the dark, and yo, I looked at Julian, I was like, holy shit. Because like it was just so sudden, like it's so quiet. Honestly, the way to make a good scary movie is do not rely on cheap scares. Don't rely on jump scares. Subtle things in the scene can really scare a person, and scaring me by having no sound, no lighting, but just a sudden, just showing the character standing there. I felt the hairs on my arms like stand up on end, because you I need to use the bathroom. I need to go use number 2, because you made me put myself from scaring me shitless, because I was like, oh, gotta be honest, like my whole reaction was just like, fuck, like, oh shit. And the whole audience, like I think that's like the first week it came out too. So this movie just came out. Everyone in the audience was like, holy shit. Like people were like laughing. People were like going like a shun like that and stuff. Just screaming. Like I was like, oh my God. I wonder what Kurt Barker was trying to achieve with this movie, but I'm going to assume it's more of like a sort of monkey's paw episode. A monkey's paw wish gone awry. Now, turn that to 11. That's the whole movie. But also about how a man thinks he really, really should have more priority, more power over someone else just because he wants to be loved. No. Whatever Kurt Barker wanted to achieve, He achieved it. He scared me. There's a lot of things he said in interviews were like, he wants things to be open to interpretation. And he even said outright in this interview by Collider that they filmed multiple takes of this. They had a take where Nikki was very obsessive with Bear. They had a take where Nikki wasn't really obsessed with Bear. So telling me there's multiple takes of this movie with different interpretations, different ways that Nikki was acting, and they mishmashed it. They turned into a homunculus of a movie to keep the audience guessing. And that part, that's awesome. That is so awesome. We cannot know what's going on, but we're kept in the dark willingly, and it's a fascinating way to film a movie because on one hand, you got her obvious faces, or she's looking at him like, oh my God, he's so cute. Oh my God, lovingly obsessed, the obsessed, possessed Nikki. And then you got the normal Nikki. You have to, this is a multiple watch movie because you have to like take a look at how these characters are acting. I think Barker wanted to just really make us uncomfortable and tell us that like, be careful what you wish for, honestly. And I think he achieved it because it made me feel anxious. I felt scared. I felt uncomfortable. There's so many things. Seeing a girl being that obsessed with someone to the point where they piss themselves and they soil themselves and just they just don't take care of themselves anymore. That's really weird to me. I'm a grown man. I don't like that. Even when I was younger, I never liked things like that. I never saw the appeal of a girl being extremely obsessed with every single part of, I know that that's not real, but I know there's people that have like some issues with the mental issues where they're clearly like, stalker things. Men can be stalkers too. So like this goes for any gender, like being scared, being very obsessed with someone is just kind of weird to me. Like, I prefer like some space in my personal life, and I sometimes want attention as well. But honestly, who doesn't want attention? But this man, this Mr. Bear, obviously wanted more than just attention. He wanted every single facet to be controlled by him. And he wanted it to stay there and never go away. Kurt Barker, man, was it really worth achieving this sense, this dreading? There's so many scenes where I was dreading things happening. And he achieved, so this movie, it just oozes with dread. It oozes with tension. You could cut it with a butter knife. Like, it's there. It's so thick. It's never thin. Even in that time when they had the Jenga drinking game, and then Nikki turns into some weird retelling of Hansel and Gretel. What is going on? Like, hey, Bear, let me ask you a question. Why did you decide to go to a random shop? What do you mean you wanted her to be obsessed with you? Why didn't you want to just talk to Sarah about her life and stuff? It seems like you guys had a connection going on, but you decided not to. You decided to sever good connection, good community, good vibes, and a friendship that could have gone further in life. Instead, you decided to unwittingly and willingly take over someone's life for your sick and twisted desire. Just because you kind of like her, you're infatuated with this woman, and you decide, let me just take over her life. I did not like that at all. I'm just like, you royally fucked up. And I could just beat the horse over again, beat the bear over and over again. Like, you fucked up so bad. Gotta be honest, there's some details I was very curious about that it seemed that the original Nikki was also sounded like she was like being tortured in some kind of limbo. Because when Bear called the hotline about the One Wish Willow, you could hear a Nikki screaming like she's actively being tortured, like she's being held hostage. And honestly, everything else is up to interpretation, but like, what is going on here? Is there like a small dimension that we don't know about? And everything is kept tight-lipped. I love that. I like the best thing you could do for a movie is show. Do not tell. I don't want to be hand-fed and spoon-fed things happening in the movie. Show what you want to show and let the audience enjoy and or feel very scared to see what's going on. I honestly thought there was like this wizard or some witch like being holding Nikki hostage, and maybe he could like figure out like get someone else to wish and counter the effects, or break Nikki out somehow by destroying a certain like some, you know, some artifacts, like some things like counter whatever spell she was under. But like it was very, very vague. And honestly, the vaguer it is, the better it probably is, because if we start, if that's how you get the audience to like really to interpret things and also have them speculate and keep the movie being talked about for months on end, is don't tell too much, enjoy what's on the screen, and then talk to your friends about it, talk to people about it. It has the vibe of back in the day when you watch a movie on or watch a show on, say, Saturday night, and everyone gets back together on Monday at work or school and like, hey, did you catch the show, blah, 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 on Saturday? Yeah, how'd you feel about that? It produces organic discussion, and produces organic opinions, and produces people to be talk about the content. Keep them talking about it, keep them thinking about it. Some things were kind of like we kind of see it coming, I gotta be honest. Like it was obviously telegraphed that Sarah was gonna get killed because she was sitting by her, you know, in the driver's seat of the car, and then boom, Sarah breaks the window, smashes her with a brick. Boom, you know, murders her and stuff. It's just awful. And I had to look away, I gotta be honest. I was like, oh my god, that's so it just irked me. That was creepy as hell, I gotta be honest with you. But I'll get on to the conclusion though. This movie receives the rare Movies with the Homies 5 out of 5. This movie went above and beyond my expectation. It's also scared me. If you could scare me, I'm giving your movie a 5 out of 5 immediately. Unless it's just a simple jump scare, and then I'm gonna be like, no, that was not really cash money of you. The conclusion though, with him doing like a Uno reverse to like try and get out of this whole situation though, with Bear and Nikki. Yeah, that's one ending to go with. I was like, I kind of wanted him to like suffer the consequences of what he's done. But it's even more horrifying to know that he put Nikki through hell in the living and beyond, because she was being tortured because she could not have no autonomy over her body because of the obsessive persona that took over. And now she's back to normal, except Bear is dead. Sarah is dead. The other friend was named Ian. Was it Ian? Ian is also dead. Everybody is dead except for the person that suffered this whole like incident of possession, being obsessed. Amazing. Amazing. Go on and watch this movie. This movie will keep you on edge. If you're listening to this while watching the movie, what have you done? Why would you do that? I would say if you ever counter this podcast after watching the movie, let me know what you think in the comments below. I want to hear your thoughts. Otherwise, I could talk about this movie all day because, oh my God. There's a lot of things I took out and missed out, but I'm just here reviewing it. I'm not going to talk about the whole movie from start to finish. I'm going to review what the movie is, but this is a great movie. It is one of the best horror movies I've seen in a while, besides me, Weapons. And my all-time favorite movie right now is still the scariest movie I've seen in my life. Is probably still, it's going to be Hereditary, gotta be honest. Weapons is up there as well. I gotta be honest. Weapons was another terrifying movie as well. Obsession is getting near my top 10, my top 5 of scary as fuck horror movies. There's a couple others in my head, but I can't recall them at the moment. But you check out Obsession in movies if it's still on, and or just watch it on your favorite streaming sites. Please have a great, wonderful day. Go Mets, go in the World Cup. Have a good one. This is Movies with the Homies, your host, Mattel. I shall talk to you and see you another time for the next movie. The next movie I'll be discussing is the Backrooms. And then Disclosure Day is also another one by Steven Spielberg. So I will talk to you all later. You'll hear from me. You will know me.